esportsbets.com, a unique place for true gamers. The only place to bet on esports events. You know your way around a competitive gaming scene and are willing to take a risk? Watch regular broadcasts and earn real money. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Starladder falls! Liquid's doing it! They're gonna take! He's gonna bring down Burning! Alone with a double kill! Dropping fast! Mana points there! He's still alive! Wait, oh, second slide! He's got one side! He's got a second! He's taking it! Oh my god! On three! They're all dead!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay. We had some issues patching. One of the Arrow players, I believe it was Lance, waited till just about the last second to start patching. He's on a slower connection, and slowly but surely we would have been waiting probably another 45 minutes or so before he would have been finished. So Arrow had the last second find a stand-in, and of course that took some time, so apologies. Before we hop into the game, another quick plug about the BTS Chroma collection. Questions about shipping? Yes, ships internationally. So you can check it out. Time is of the essence. I'll drop some more links in chat. teespring.com/BTS Chroma. I'm Zyori, joined once again by Blaze. Arrow versus Mineski. Blaze, what's up, man? How you feeling coming into game 2?
I'm waking up a little bit more. I was shouting about insane damage from Timber Saws at 6:30 in the morning. I was afraid of waking my neighbors up a little bit, but now I can pretty much be as loud as I want, and there's no problem with that. But it's pretty easy to get hype about a matchup like this. I mean, Arrow versus Mineski. When Arrow Gaming was lowyet.net, they faced Mineski, I would say, like 3 or 4 times a week in competitive matches, just because they're always in the same tournament. So they have a good feel for a lot of these players. They have a lot of experience in the back and forth, but there are going to be some stand-ins on both sides. Materu is kind of a formal stand-in tryout for Arrow, and then of course the Asian characters there, he has a private profile, so that's what we're going to have to go with, is going to be standing in for Lance as the aforementioned connection issues take their toll.
Okay, yeah. No idea who it is. I don't read Asian characters, and so we'll just call him by whatever hero he ends up picking up here. But it was a Tinker first pick for Arrow Gaming. Faceless Void, Ancient Apparition, the chosen opener for Mineski. Some obvious synergy there. And then the Shadow Demon for Arrow Gaming come out. Now, I think it's worth sharing some of our newfound knowledge here about Tinker and the mechanics of the 7-8 slot Tinker with Necronomicon. You cannot rearm it. Oh, no. Oh, it's a disaster. You can refresh it, and the way it works is basically the Necro units that are on the field just die, and new ones come out. So you could make Necro units, send them in, they die, refresh, make some new Necro units right away, and it is sort of pseudo-refreshable, but it is not rearmable. It was at one point, but a little too abusable, and Alt Ice Frog helped us out and made it so Tinker can't spam Necro units all over the place.
Yep, that was an old classic in Dota 1. There were a lot of broken things in Dota 1 as far as rearm goes, but that is no longer among them, and I do apologize for that bit of slip. I guess it was crossed wires in my brain between Manta and Necro. The Manta strat is a little bit more valid because it actually works the way that I thought Necro did, but yeah, we get our update, we get our newfound knowledge, but we don't have to worry about those crazy super late game builds when it comes down to a DDZ Tinker. This guy wants to end the game fast. The second he picks up a Dagon, the clock of Mineski is ticking. They are just trying to stay alive. They are just dodging lasers left and right. They're trying to actually find a superior team fight so that they don't just get picked off, because if they drag this out even 10 minutes after a Dagon 5 Ethereal Blade is complete on a player like DDZ, like, they're just all dead. They are all dead.
Yes, very well said, sir. Yes. Especially the Ancient Apparition, he's just going to become food. There's no way about it. A hero always susceptible to ganks and burst damage. And well, it's one of the good things about the Wraith King here. If he ends up being their second support, it at least gives them a tankier support that not immune to the Tinker, but isn't just complete food, free kill if Tinker gets any sight of him somewhere around the map. So we'll see if it's a core Wraith King or a support, but either way, not a bad hero to give you some potential against Tinker.
So we have a lot of wombo combo potential with the Ice Blast and the Chronosphere. If they can catch out Brewmaster inside of Chronosphere before he splits, I think that's going to be what decides the mid-game fights. Brewmaster's ultimate is extremely potent in controlling heroes, taking somebody out of the fight. Maybe the Void can be tornadoed in his own Chronosphere if you're actually really on point with the micro. But they have a lot of ways to react to the situation. They have defensive disruption. If Shadow Demon's outside of it, they can obviously disrupt the Void himself. And they should still be able to get most of their abilities off as they kind of buy time for themselves. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis on getting Tinker farmed. DDZ is the star player of Arrow when it comes down to solo mid, and across the board, he's really one of those guys that just outshines many of the SEA players. So they'll try to emphasize stacking on the Ancient side. It's not as convenient on the Dire side, but yeah, they're going to try to make sure that he gets as much as possible, as early as possible, and Mineski have other plans in mind. They're pushing it out. They're getting kills when they can, and they are going to try to make his life a living hell.
Yes, they sure will. And Death Prophet is just a lot of natural synergy there. And the nice thing about DP and Ancient Apparition together to dump into the Chrono is you have a huge amount of physical damage and a huge amount of magical damage. So you're not completely safe if you grab BKBs, and vice versa with Ghost Scepters and all that other kind of stuff. So there is a bit of variance here across the damage that Mineski will put out. But Arrow Gaming with Tinker and Brewmaster, just two notoriously scary heroes right now. And Shadow Demon just makes it all the easier for those setups with those aggressive disruptions. Wow, the Omni Knight ban again.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, honestly, because in this position here, it's like, okay, well, are you really that threatened by the raw physical immunity? Is essentially what he gives exclusively. The repel is also extremely potent, like you could repel the Faceless Void as he jumps in, and then Tinker can't really do too much to him. But in that case, at least you could go for the Demonic Purge. You already have that on the Shadow Demon. It's a good counter to Omni Knight. I really don't feel any reason why they're so threatened by it. Like, Omni Knight's a great hero, don't get me wrong, but they could get a Diffusal Blade on the Tinker, which you can rearm. You could get a Demonic Purge from the Shadow Demon, and you can deal with this threat. I really don't feel like it's that warranted.
Yeah, of all the situations of having tools to deal with Omni Knight, they're pretty well equipped. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a hero they had a bad round against, and never again will we fall victim to the Omni Knight.
Like,
this isn't the first time we've seen it, though. So there is something lurking beneath the surface. And
like Brewmaster's Wind Panda even has a Dispel, and it's an AoE Dispel. It's one of the best in the game. So, like, I can't imagine a better team to face Omni Knight. A hero that we don't even see picked, and they're like, no Omni Knight. Surrection Slacks is crying in his
I was just thinking that this is just the IRL FU to Sir Action Slacks, an homage to his Omni Knight presence.
10 seconds
But
remaining.
Kunkka will be the presumed second support for Arrow here. We've seen this pocket strat come out of some teams. I know DD and
Reserve
DDC are two players that have run this a lot, and we saw it some at TI and certainly a lot in the TI4 qualifiers earlier this year. And it's a pocket strat that's pretty potent. You can set up with the disruption, and that makes for very easy torrents. Then once Kunkka hits 6, he can pretty much just run around and throw boats left and right following the setup. So there is a lot of potential for kills, but with any early roaming duo, it is a little bit risky. If you don't secure those kills, it's very easy for those two supports to fall off and not find much farm.
10 seconds remaining.
DD and DDC, that'd be an interesting pair to support up DDZ. Get long DD in there, and you could just have this all-star team of unpronounceable names.
Yeah, that
Radiant
trying to do the
team
play-by-play in that in those fights, jeez, too many Ds.
I can just imagine that team, and like the first time somebody ever sees an esport or Dota 2, it just tunes in and it's like, DD goes on DDC, and he's gonna get the cast on DDC. It's like, okay, enough of that. I can't even.
Team double damage, dude. They've got it right there.
Yeah, throw in the DD there. Yeah, the commentary just gets a little convoluted, but yeah, the Kunkka pick is still very fun to see. He's gonna bring a lot to the table here. I still, like you said, I think it's going to be a supportive role. The Shadow Demon Kunkka combo is very strong. Disruption into Torrent, and then the Brewmaster can play either a carry or offlane role, depending on what they're comfortable with. Still, they've got some good tools against the Brewmaster. The Death Prophet Silence is very powerful. The Wraith King Stun or Chronosphere could be enough to lock him down. And now they've got this Weaver as well, which is just one of those heroes that if you don't kill him in a Torrent combo, which you're probably not going to, he's just barely tanky enough, he's probably going to be able to survive with that ultimate with Shikuchi and evade your assault there. So it's a good hero overall, but it does feel a little greedy. Like the fact that they're going for Ancient Apparition, which is a greedy support in his own right, and Faces Void and Weaver aren't that durable. It does make it so that if the Tinker picks up the Dagon fast enough, that they're going to have some trouble on their hands.
Yeah, and even Wraith King is what I would label as a greedier support. He scales okay with farm. You'll even see some Wraith Kings in the support role grab a Midas because come 30, 40 minutes into the game, he can start packing a punch and scale pretty well. So I completely agree. I think Mineski, if they get some space, can really do well in this match, but finding that space is going to be a challenge, I think, suffice it to say, on DDZ's Tinker. And there's no doubt that the Kunkka Shadow Demon supports will be very aggressive, moving around and looking for kills. If not in the early levels, certainly in the mid-game once Kunkka hits that level 6. Ghost Ship has such a damn short cooldown that you don't really have much to lose by just throwing it out. Once you get those Arcane Boots, you've got a decent amount of mana sustain, and there's some really solid setup. Even with just Shadow Demon, Kunkka, and Brew, that trio of heroes has so much kill potential and very easy setups with the long-range disruption. It will be a Nature's Prophet last pick for Arrow Gaming, so they get some pushing synergy for their off-laner. And one last point here about some synergy from the side of Mineski is I do like that the Weaver at least has some minus armor with the Swarm, the little Scarabs there. It does synergize well with the Death Prophet, but I don't know if that's going to be enough at face value.
Yep, so we'll see them kind of taking their places here. The Death Prophet's going to be going with the Null Talisman start, so that's going to be pretty nice for base damage to try to control DDZ, but he just answered back with a Null Tally of his own. That's how you win the mid 1v1 CS war, is by grabbing up those Null Tallies, so we're going to see that work out pretty well, depending on who's ganking in.
Congraties, you can buy Null Tallies. Boots first on the Wraith King, so he'll be cruising around looking to make something happen early on. He gets scattered out by the little tree ant here. He does have an observer sitting in the inventory. He has not put it down yet. Doesn't want to reveal its location, compliments of this cute little flower tree ant here. Dire side, they won't invade. They will stay on their side of the map, and yeah, they won't get too crazy with these wards to get things started. Kunkka does start off with a smoke, and always got the cute little Admiral hat, the foraged hat, cap. Oh, how adorable. And the auspicious Blade Biter. Wow, look at these Kunkka cosmetics. Heroic Claddish high tops. We've got some SEA Invitational raid call gear. Wow.
Nice.
Uncommon shoes. Very nice. I like the Kunkka cosmetics. He's one of my favorite heroes cosmetic-wise. Does he have the pipe? Is this the Terminator? No, he doesn't
Pipe's
have the
awesome,
pipe.
but best cosmetic in the game, you miss out on it.
Bummer. I will say my favorite, I think Squiddles is the best cosmetic.
Okay, that's fair.
All about
it's hard
the
to beat
Squiddles.
Squiddles.
Squiddles, he's good stuff. Oh boy, Tidehunter. Yeah, it's the ocean heroes. Any hero that has a nautical theme seems to have the best set of cosmetics. I don't know what it is, but the starfish, bits of boats and swords and admiral hats, there seems to be just a limitless pool of creativity on that front. I don't know what it is, but let's see where these lanes will settle down. It will be Arrow on the Dire side. They are the favorites coming into this match. It will be Zhang Zai headed to the off lane on the Nature's Prophet in the mid. That is, of course, the DDZ Tinker that we've talked about oh so much. He's got the Null Tally, a couple of GG branches, and a Tango. Fun tidbit here, Blaze. Did you know that if you type GG into the shop item search box, the Iron Branch pops up?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's been in game since day one. It's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool? I was a little late to the party on that one, but I thought that was a neat little thing. Mosin on the support Kunkka here. MTR on the support Shadow Demon. That does leave us with a mystery stand-in here. Brewmaster, Asian characters, private profile. I have absolutely no idea who this gentleman is, but he's on the position 1 Brewmaster.
Yep, but he is going to be going toe-to-toe with a duo lane of sorts. We do have here the Weaver, played by Jay, standing in. He played the amazing Tinker that we saw last time around when we got to watch Mineski, and kind of... Actually, I think they beat Titan? Was that right? Or no, that was a different matchup. Okay. But anyways, he still plays an amazing game. He brings a lot to the table. We'll see if he can actually triumph over such a high-caliber team. But first and foremost, it's Arrow on the plate. And yeah, anyways, up on top, it is going to be play hard stand-in. Going to be running on the Ancient Apparition there. So Weaver, great Geminate attack potential with the Chilling Touch, but 2 versus 3. It's a pretty hard matchup to deal with once they start bringing the sentry wards, and then of course they do have one up their sleeve. Anyways, looking over at the rest, we do see Jesse Vash rotating around. The support Wraith King maybe looking for an opening, but under the Observer ward, he's not going to find much. But other than that, it's going to be Jacko on the mid Death Prophet, farming up right now, 6 for 4, even with DDZ. And on the bottom lane, we do have that safe lane Void, 5593. Starting off with a lot of HP regen and a 4-man shield going 1v1 against the Prophet.
Yep, and fairly even exchange in the bottom lane. We'll see in the mid, Jesse Vosh rotates onto DDZ, connects with the Wraithfire Blast, and a Crypt Swarm will connect as well. DDZ safe for now, might be able to turn it around on a Jesse Vosh. He will! That's a first blood drawn by DDZ's Tinker. He will fall for it, but of course finds the better of the trade as he gets that bout of bonus gold.
Yeah, saw him coming the whole time with the Observer ward, so he knew exactly how he wanted to play that situation, and to great effect. He is going to have huge momentum, building up the laser, a lot of nuke potential coming out of him, and if he gets 1 or 2 runes, he's really going to be putting some hurt into the Death Prophet, who only has 2 tangos to spare. Actually, some bare bones regen across the board for Mineski. Like, when they go in with the Ancient Apparition, he's only got 2 tangos to start with. 2 were pulled to the mid, and he didn't even buy another salve. He went for 3 Iron Branches, so he's got to watch his HP bar, but first and foremost, it's going to be the Brewmaster getting stunned out and taking a lot of damage from this Chilling Touch.
Yeah, the Chilling Touches will start to lay in. Geminate attack was skilled level 2 on the Weaver, but they just don't have the damage. The Thunderclap is enough to slow him down. They won't dive the tower to commit for it, and now the wraparound. There's the setup from MTR. Disruption will be on the money. Torrent to follow up. Shikuchi from the Weaver, but he will be completely repelled. And as you were mentioning, that lack of regen will come in handy as they trade for the Dire side as they trade blows. Jesse Vosh turns around, and now the Dire will bite off more than they can chew. The Brewmaster, the mystery stand-in, overcommits, and that Wraithfire Blast to the face will be enough for Jesse Vosh to secure a kill. And, ooh, boy, pardon me as I open up my console by mistake. That'll make it 2-1 here as Mineski get another one up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward, them going for the disruption on the Weaver there, the most escapable hero. They should have taken the easy kill on the Ancient Apparition. They wanted the big play kill, but with the Soul Catcher not connecting, there was absolutely no chance of that. And yeah, they unfortunately will miss out on a major opportunity there to at least even the odds in that position. They lose the Brewmaster, fed away, and even the Wraith King getting the last hit on him will step him forward as far as movement across the map. He's going down bottom lane.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing if you want to focus the Weaver once you have a couple extra points in Torrent and you have a lot of burst damage to possibly bring him down, but it seemed like there was just a pretty minor chance that they would have the damage to bring down Weaver for Shikuchi. And if they wanted to just repel, then that's fine, but they seemed like they wanted to commit for a kill, so I completely agree with you. You have to focus one of those squishier supports that will possibly yield a kill. Even the Wraith King, he's tanky at this level, but not unkillable, and seems more likely than that of the Weaver. But down bottom lane, Void is the big breadwinner here. A leading farmer with 26 CS under his belt, now way out farming that Nature's Prophet. The poor man's shield really coming in handy here. And we see him, oh, wow, pardon me. Missed a kill in the mid lane. Now Jacko possibly in trouble. Will take a laser to the face. They've already killed the Shadow Demon, but now they'll go back in, and Tinker will make it a 1-for-1 trade. And, of course, as that happens, we see Tinker get picked off simultaneously. Eek. Mineski pulling ahead here.
Yeah, so a lot of brawling going back and forth. The Shadow Demon kind of got singled out by the Ancient Apparition Weaver combo just in no man's land. And then, of course, as we saw, the skirmish going back and forth. The Exorcism was popped off, though, and DP immediately wasted that. Well, I wouldn't say wasted, but it definitely used that one up. She got the damage she needed for the Tinker to fall in the end, but she didn't get the experience for it, so she's still pretty far behind. Tinker pulling forward now. He's got 22 and 11 on his CS count. He's 2-2 and 0. But the only thing he's really lacking is these Ancient stacks being Observer warded up some time ago by the side of Mineski.
Yeah, it's been Observer warded, but I don't think Arrow are even privy to the fact that it's blocked. I have not caught them trying to stack it yet, and that's probably part of the reason there's no Sentry Ward down to counter it yet. Nature's Prophet has just been focused on this bottom lane. He'll try and snipe a little bit of jungle farm here from the low ground as he takes these Alpha Wolves out, but the Void has just completely shut him down. And I missed that kill in the midst. I was going to comment that Faceless Void, no points in backtrack. That just shows how comfortable he is in this lane, going 2 in time lock. You'll see a lot of Voids just grab that value point in backtrack early on, but showing us how little Zhang Zai was able to harass him and now just trying to find some recovery.
Yeah, you usually don't think of Void as a hero that's offensive outside of Chronosphere, but with this max time walk build, it's not even our RNG-based kill. Like, he goes in and gets a 50% slow for 3 seconds, is easy enough to follow up Jesse Vash's stun, and it's just impossible to escape from that. If he gets one bash during the teleport cast from Nature's Prophet, Zhang Zai does not escape, and that's obviously what was needed to bring him down on the bottom lane there. So now the Chronosphere will come out, the big ulti cooldown. There is a rotation of supports, but will it be fast enough?
Yeah, Zhang Zai will take a Wraithfire Blast. The Torrent will connect. There's the Time Walk into the trees. DDZ is rotating down with a Haste Rune on as well. 5593 moves into the trees, TP's home, and he will survive. So no kill comes out on either side. I guess you could call that a victory for Arrow. Nature's Prophet was caught in the Chronosphere, so the fact that he survives is, well, good news for them. The Haste Rune on DDZ helped tip the scales there. That made that rotation a lot less risky for him in terms of missed farm in the mid lane, and he'll head right back, and didn't miss out on a hell of a lot. MTR soaked up a little bit of solo experience. He secured level 4 and grabbed that second point in Shadow Poison, but nice rotations from Arrow to help support their offlaner. Mineski holding on to a 2,000 gold, 1,500 experience lead as they have really found a lot more out of this initial laning phase.
So DDZ is really controlling this jungle very effectively with March and Machines. He's got it maxed out. He farmed up a triple stack just now and took out all but the Hellbears. And it puts him in a very good position to find the BOTs at the exact timing he wants. Right now, 7.5 minutes in, he's almost got it. But on top lane, the tier 1's almost down. DP uses her second exorcism of the game to bring this tower very close to deny, and she will get the last hit.
Yeah, Brew thinking about going back in for it, but doesn't want to get caught off guard, and they don't have any stuns to lock him down, but he's not particularly mobile right now. Is level 6, so Primal Split could have been his get-out-of-jail-free card, but opts to save it and does not go for the deny. That will push Mineski a little bit further in the lead here, and right now just glancing at net worth, it's all about the Tinker on the side of Arrow. DDZ Dota. Will his Tinker be big enough to start turning things around here? He does have his BOTs up now. The Observer Ward in the Dire Ancients has now expired, so stacking Ancients could commence, and Arrow could really start to skyrocket DDZ's farm, and I think they'll have to do that to slow down a little bit of this Mineski momentum because they have some farming tools. Faceless Void is going for a Hand of Midas. It looks like he's got the double Gloves of Haste. Maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be the Maelstrom Power Treads, but this was a game just screaming Hand of Midas to me based on how much space Void has had to farm.
He's got on the courier. He's going to use it on the Dark Soul Summoner here. Get
is.
maximum experience value. That is the best creepness at this stage in the game, and yeah, he is going to be able to move and very quickly towards, I believe, the Maelstrom follow-up. Like, often you see treads because they that item in general is really powerful, but Maelstrom at a very early stage in the game can have an extremely high impact as well, the magic damage flying about. We will see Jesse Vash closing in. He's in range for a stun. They got this kill on Xiang Zai 100%.
Yeah, definitely. No way he'll survive this one. Just power treads on the Nature's Prophet, and against a Faceless Void, you don't really want to try to TP out against that anyhow. You're just rolling the dice, hoping you won't get time locked for the interrupt. And with 3 points in it, chances are pretty good that Void will interrupt you. A 1-for-0 trade. DDZ does rotate down to the bottom lane, spams out some March, but won't be able to do much aside from just repel the forces of Mineski away from the tower. Weaver still finding a lot of farm in the top lane, and Mineski will retreat to behind their tower down bottom, perhaps thinking a gank is coming their way, but Tinker happy just to keep them isolated there and BOT back to the base. There is another Radiant Observer down in the Dire Ancients, but this time there is a Dire Sentry down, and it's just barely out of range. Oh, so bittersweet for the Dire side. Their Ancients will be blocked once again.
Yeah, generally speaking, you're going to have to commit 2 Sentry Wards if you want to unlock that pull, but Materu spends his other one on the mid lane to prevent any high ground wards going up on the cliff spots here. There's a couple of spots, like obviously we see where the Dire Observer Ward is placed, and there's also one that it covers up here on the Dire side of the river. So there's a couple of key wards that will be negated by that Sentry Ward, but as we see, that Observer Ward in the Ancient spawn will persist, and that's going to limit his potential. Tinker's still stacking up like crazy inside his own jungle on the eastern side, but it's not as much as he'd like, the Ancients being that much more juicy of a prize to claim.
Yeah, and you see MTR moving around. He clears out a couple trees, hoping that he can catch vision of a ward. I'm not sure that they're totally convinced it's blocked. As I mentioned before, they haven't been putting too many resources in trying to stack it, but they're skeptical, and perhaps they did do at least one failed stack. Maybe Nature's Prophet will come over and try and stack it on this rotation and realize that there is still another ward blocking it. But it's one of those things that even though it's blocked, it seems like Arrow haven't really put the resources into determining if it's blocked. I'm not articulating well, but I think you understand what I'm saying. They're not really trying to stack the Ancients even though it is blocked and not a possibility.
I think I've only seen one Treant make its way there, so the micro from Xiang Zai could be a little bit better to keep tabs on it, or maybe they just know well enough about the movements of Mineski, and they're like, okay, well, we don't have an answer. We didn't find a ward, and we saw them moving that direction on our map, so maybe they just kind of take it under assumption. And go along with their day, focusing on stacking in the actual jungle. And we actually see that from Radiant as well. It's interesting here. We're going to see a full clear from Jocko on this Death Prophet. Uses the regen rune plus Crypt Swarm, and he is just cleaning house with this. It's going to be a full triple stack, actually quad stack, claimed by him, and that is huge.
Yeah, nice little bit of gold going his way. Glancing at net worth, there's... Wow, that is scary. Of the top 4, it is 3 Radiant heroes, and they're all just about dead even, hovering between that 53 to 5,600 net worth mark as more farm comes out onto the map. We will see a smoke from Arrow. They will try to get aggressive down here in the bottom lane. Wraith King is now level 6, has the ultimate skilled, so it won't be too easy to secure kills onto him. Faceless Void has a chrono available, and again, not the easiest target. Space creation in the mid means Jekko pops the ultimate, and we'll at least try to make this a tower-for-tower exchange if Arrow commit to this. Well, there is a TP back from DDZ to try to repel. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the rest of Arrow are committed to this tower push. They've gotten Mosin on the other side of the tree line, and Kunkka has found some experience. He is now level 6, Ghost Ship online, and they could potentially take a fight. Ice Blast comes in, Void hops over the way, does connect with the chrono. That'll be a shatter onto Zhang Zai at the very least. Boat flies through, and... well, that's a dead Nature's Prophet. Now the Primal Split comes out. They'll go into the Death Prophet who's TP'd in. She will use her Yules. That'll buy her some time, but nowhere to go as she can get converged on by the 2 supports, and that will make it a 1-for-1. Tower falls, and it is destroyed by Kunkka, and not denied. It is Arrow that find the better of the skirmish down in the bottom Tier 1 tower.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, DDZ was focused on this Wraith King here. It was kind of diving him, hoping that he'd get the assistance he needed, but they end up just putting his Reincarnate on cooldown and getting the Demonic Purge on him here. He should die a second time if they can put a little bit more, but they don't have the mana for it. And the Ice Blast will come through. Metelu dropping down to 170 HP. I don't think he'll shatter off of this, as it is only rank 1, but it is getting pretty close. DDZ going in deep with the help of his allies, though, and we do see them just going in full retreat. The Wraith King falls, the Void time walks out, and yeah, DDZ is just bouncing back and forth between the base and here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that he has the Soul Ring, his life gets so much easier, and Arrow will regain some momentum after getting that bottom tower. That helps out their problems on the net worth chart, and doing some pretty decent damage to this Tier 1 tower in the mid. Up top, Weaver was pressuring the Tier 2, but will ultimately be repelled as Tinker comes up, spams that march. Regardless, Weaver did about half damage to a Tier 2 tower, which is pretty decent for only 14 minutes into this game here. Still...
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't know why Jay's got his Aquila off. I mean, that's the main pushing tool that he's got in his arsenal, but he's just kind of not really worried about the creeps. He's just trying to get the farm, really, and he's getting wave after wave, approaching his Lincolns quite rapidly, but Blink already up for DDZ. Blink on the Brew, Blink on the Tinker, and Mosin really on point with these combos, as we see in mid.
Yeah, Jacko with the great Yule's usage there will stop him from what would have been certain death. That would have been an X into boat, and that he would have just been clicked down by that Brewmaster with his pesky level 3 crit. A really smart item choice here. I mean, Yule's is pretty core on Death Prophet. Not that it's a surprising item pickup, but in this game, particularly useful. We've already seen it come in handy a couple times to mitigate really sticky situations. Again, we'll see Arrow commit to this Tier 1 tower push in the mid lane. March comes out, as do some Treants, and that tower will fall, making it a 2-to-1 trade in overall tower count. On the side that isn't the DP, DDZ up top. He's in some trouble. He'll get caught by the Cold Feet, and that'll be our Wraithfire Blast to bring him down. Biting off more than he could chew right there. As soon as he TP'd in, they went straight for him, and they had enough damage. Tinker's mobile right now, but not particularly tanky, as he just picked up a Blink Dagger.
Yeah, the Blink Shift Q should generally keep him safe from this point forward, but he just underestimated his opponents there and did not expect everybody to be at that top Tier 2. It's a very aggressive position, considering that's very well into Dire's territory, but it paid off for them as they were able to get a nice little kill. Now we see Faceless Void going for an interesting combination of items. I thought he'd go for the right clicks. I thought he'd go for the attack speed here, but he goes Midas, which bolsters his experience and puts him that much closer to his level 16 that much faster, but then goes for an Aghanim Scepter after that. And I kind of feel like those two mentalities are a bit counterintuitive, but at the same time, you can't beat a 60-second chrono.
Yeah, he'll still get it at a pretty good timing. The earlier you get the Ags, obviously, the more useful it is. But we'll hold that thought as up top. There will be some initiation. Looking for the wraparound onto Jay. They burn a dust straight away. Instead, they'll go on the Ancient Apparition. Ice Blast will fly through. Secures the kill on Shadow Demon. But now comes the boat. That's enough for the kill on the Weaver. Or is it? He gets off the time lapse, which means no more detection here as they burn to dust. Do they have another dust? Anything else to shut down this Weaver? No, he's just too damn elusive. It will be a 2-for-1 as the Wraith King fell. Both supports on the Radiant side. Now Death Prophet and Void joining the party. Exorcism's been popped. They go onto the Brew. He tries to pop the ultimate with the Chrono to interrupt it. The Brewmaster falls, and that makes it a 2-for-2 trade. Nicely done by the Void. couldn't have had a better timing to pop that chrono.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. They want to keep doing that to either the Tinker or the Brewmaster every time they can, and that's something that is fueled very well by a 60-second cooldown ultimate. But yeah, I don't know. The fact that he got solo experience for most of the laning phase and now has gotten the Midas at such a great time feels like his resources could be better put elsewhere. Right now, he's going to have to time walk very quickly indeed as he gets torrented. No, not going to get the chance. Even with all the backtracks in the world, he's still going to go down. The Demonic Purge taking its toll, and Shadow Demon nets a frag.
Yep, there you go. That makes it 7-10. Tinker gets some experience out of it. Now one step closer to his Dagon. That's a Staff of Wizardry, and just needs the recipe. Long range Ice Blast flies through up top, only hits the Kunkka, almost clips the other two, but just barely falls short. This Weaver, though, the problem is there are just too many heroes farming well on the side of Mineski. For Arrow, the team is doing okay. Nature's Prophet and Brew have a baseline of farm, but it's lackluster compared to the Void, Weaver, or DP. It's just that Tinker who's farming out of control, and they can still gain some momentum, but the longer this goes on, the more that gap is going to grow as these farming tools continue. Ancient Apparition already working towards that Ag Scepter. Void fairly close to his, but the big thing is the Lincolns now complete on Jay's Weaver. The tower up top will fall, so Arrow finds some extra gold. Zhang Zai tries to TP home. He'll be successful. Another dust is used, but Mosin needs to be careful. He's on the backside, throws a boat, and wants to get himself some of that yummy Admiral's rum. We'll get it onto MTR as well. Now they go onto the Weaver. Disruption, the setup, but there's your time lapse, and again, they just don't have another dust to use and no way to lock him down. Panda, meanwhile, he's fighting the Void and the DP. So is the Earth Panda alive, and he will be able to make it back out, at least for now. Here comes the Weaver, goes back into brew form. He has support inbound, and Disruption not up for another 4 seconds, but he has the Blink Dagger and will be able to hop to safety. Brewmaster also well on his way to an Egg Scepter, point booster, and 700 in saving.
Yep, good use of the Shikuchi to put the Blink on cooldown initially, because you usually can't get the first auto attack thanks to the Drunken Brawler's 10-second rule, where you get the automatic dodge. But in this case here, yeah, you're still going to be able to blink out after the fact, and he has plenty of allies right nearby. So he farms up a nice little stack for himself. He moves forward, and yeah, we also get to see DDZ picking up that Dagon 1. Now, looking at the GPM, 486, not too bad for DDZ, but compared to a lot of his games, this is actually pretty slow, and it just goes to show how much Mineski have succeeded in really limiting his ancient stacking. Like, he's going to some naked ancients here, just the Black Dragons, going to stack them up and farm a couple, trying to approach either his Ethereal Blade or actually ranking the Dagon.
Yeah, in the mid lane, Nature's Prophet will get caught in a chrono, and out comes the Ice Blast. Could be enough for a shatter. Defensive Disruption flies, but only buys him seconds, as Nature's Prophet will take a tumble. Great setup from Mineski, utilizing that global aspect of the Ice Blast to a T. But the biggest disparity here isn't even really in the gold, as some towers have exchanged as much as the experience. Mineski holding a 10,000 experience lead here as we approach the 20-minute mark, and looking at the level chart, that's just a lot of green floating towards the top. Their leading farmers are also finding so much experience. And again, as this game continues, that gap will continue to grow if Arrow don't do something to change the momentum in this game. They will go down bottom looking for Jesse Vosh. The Torrent will be off the mark, and he will TP home. A close call, but oh, he gets X'd. Comes right back, and that will be a kill on Jesse Vosh. Reincarnate procced, but they shouldn't have a problem killing him again. He's isolated in the trees, nowhere for his TP, or his allies to TP to, and yeah, Shadow Demon gets credit for that kill. So,
but look at mid.
Yeah, that's a lot committed for just to support Wraith King, and he bought a lot of time for his team to chip at this tier 2 tower in the mid lane. Brewmaster will go up top, secures the tower deny there, but Mosin caught inside of the Chrono in the mid lane. Ice Blast will fly through. That forces the shatter, and it's Ancient Apparition that secures that kill. Even though it was a denying the top lane, Mineski still get one step closer to knocking on that front door of the base. Crypt Swarm on 2. Weaver going hard under the tower. The silence on Shadow Demon. He can't disrupt himself. No way to get out of it. Weaver commits, uses the Lincolns, and will time-lapse back to safety. Mineski starting to run over Arrow here as they gain even more momentum following that fight.
Yeah, I mean, putting that gigantic Reincarnate on cooldown is really good, but even still, they lost the Tier 1 to Exorcism, got a lot of damage taken out of the Tier 2, and then they lose 2 heroes subsequently. A really good movement from Mineski, and I think they're happy to walk away with that. Right now, the Weaver is getting really big, can move towards a Desolator at a very rapid pace as he was able to control the top lane and farm, take that down, and just in general top the CS by a significant margin, 156 under his belt.
Yeah.
So in this position, I want to talk a little bit about that experience disparity. It obviously is very favorable for Mineski, but let's look at who's actually been killed off. Arrow has lost Tinker 4 times. The Brewmaster's been picked off twice, and the Nature's Prophet has died 4 times. These are really high priority targets. These are the core heroes that need items, and they are spending a large amount of time in the grave. So not only is it a large kill score at 14-9, but they're focusing the right heroes who really make the impact on this game.
Yeah, and speak of the devil, DDZ initiated on down bottom. Wraithfire Blast, enough to bring him low, but he has a Ghost Scepter now and almost makes it out. But that one last bout of damage will force the Shatter. And Mineski get another one on the skill board again on that high-value target of the Tinker, slowing him down once further on that net worth chart. And more importantly, I think, bringing this Weaver even closer to his Desolator. He's essentially just a recipe away.
Yeah, and now the Mask of Manus on Faceless Void. He actually has damage to back up his durability and utility. And soon enough, he's going to have a massive duration on his Chronosphere. Just a quarter of a level, and he'll have a 6-second one.
Yeah, Brewmaster comes in as he hops forward, but Void with the Chronosphere connects on the Brew, looking for MTR, who was defensively disrupted. Brewmaster gets dropped before he can pop the ultimate. The boat flies into the Chrono and does buy some time, gets MTR the run, but there's the blink forward from Jesse Vosh. Connects with the Wraithfire Blast. Weaver will have no problem diving it, and Jay will pick up yet another kill. Takes a stray torrent from the Admiral, but the follow-up isn't there, and it ends as a 3-for-0 trade. A couple of big cooldowns expended, most namely the Chronosphere, but not so big of a deal when you have the Ag Scepter. DDZ comes back in, he blinks into the trees, but Jesse Vosh is there ready and waiting. It will cost Jesse Vosh's life, it looks like, but still isolates the Tinker, creates some space for the tower to fall, and Faceless Void gets the last hit on the tower. Also, DP, grabs a haste run. I thought DP grabbed another tower kill as well. We'll see Arrow get aggressive as Zhang Zai blinks forward, wants to finish off the Ancient Apparition, but he way overcommits. That'll be another kill for Jay, and Weaver has his Desolator now sitting in the well.
Oh my god! There was 2 backtracks on 2 spells. Oh my gosh, luckily he gets the follow through. Faceless Boy didn't run away enough, but he was trying to bait so that they could bring down DDZ once again. Ghost Scepter's not going to be enough here, as he just can't get out, and Materu will go for the defensive disruption, but they still have the Swarm Vision. They're going to keep in pursuit. Yeah,
the Swarm Vision, and also it interrupts the Blink Dagger. Nowhere for DDZ to go besides the trees. He gets picked off. Now they'll go on to Mosin. He TP's home, and he'll make it out. Brewmaster in the split form. Fire Panda's already died. They'll go for the blue one, and, well, there's the Yule's effect out onto the Death Prophet. He will go back into Brew form, and the Weaver is already here. Ishikuchi's through. The Lincolns does get popped. Now the Nature's Prophet coming back in, but there's just nothing the Shadow Demon could do. They have a dust, pop it on the Weaver, but he's already on the defensive. Demonic Purge comes out, but it's just too little, too late. Jacko pressing forward, throws a silence out onto Zhang Zai. He'll try and TP home. They have the damage. Arrow are just dying left and right here. Blood stains all over the floor as they try and TP home, and it's just not happening. Now all of a sudden 21-12, and looking at that graph, just rolling in favor of the Radiant. Now 12,000 gold, almost 20,000 experience as Arrow take back-to-back-to-back bad exchanges there.
Yeah, Jay is just running all over them, doing pretty much whatever the heck he wants, and knowing his Lincoln Sphere cooldown extremely well. He can just go in and be extremely aggressive and dodge around. Even though they have some detection, it's just not enough to pin him down, and they just don't have the hard locks. They get a couple good spells on him, but not enough to bring him down. He just time-lapses back up and keeps running over his opponents. The Desolator is finished. He's 4-0-9, and he just keeps adding huge contributions to these fights. Now we see the Yules come out defensively to dodge out the X-Torrent, and not only will DP be fine, but they'll be able to reinitiate. She's got Heart, they've got the Blinks, and they will try to bring down the Brewmaster, though he will escape.
Yeah, absolutely. And before that fight, Weaver had 1 Mithril Hammer. Following that fight, he had a completed Desolator and 1,500 gold to his name. That's how much Jay got out of that fight. He didn't die, and he picked up a lot of the kills, and if he didn't get the last hit, he was right there with the assist, soaking up the experience. Even looking at the hero level chart, Weaver tied for the highest with DP, both sitting at level 17. Tinker is 16, which is not too shabby, but after that, it really drops off for Arrow. 3 heroes at level 11, and then the straggler Shadow Demon stuck at a very lackluster level 8. That will be the end of the tier 2 tower in the mid lane as DP pops the Exorcism. Mineski will get aggressive. They want to fight with this ultimate. Jesse Vosh initiates onto the Brew. Defensive disruption comes out as the Chrono flies. The boat connects on 2, buys them some time with the run, but it just isn't enough. Shadow Demon, as well as the Brewmaster, get completely melted by the ghosts, and it will end as a 2-for-0 exchange following the death of that tier 2 tower.
Yeah, and they can just keep on running all over them. Right now, Arrow has been feeding pretty hard. The Nature's Prophet has only just recently hit level 12. He was 11 for like 5 minutes, it feels like. And his KDA right now is very insubstantial, 2, 6, and 5. And they've just been losing lives left and right. They don't have control of this game. They're trying to turtle it up, but against a Faceless Void and a Weaver who can just take advantage by farming the entire map, turtling really isn't an option. They have to take a good fight, but on the back of this stand-in Brewmaster, it just doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the Brewmaster, his item progression has just been completely halted. He's now level 11, so has the slightly upgraded ulti with the better cooldown, but only Point Booster and Ogre Club at 26 minutes. This is a timing where Brewmaster would expect to have his Ags complete and be running around the map, trying to continue with momentum, shutting down the opposition. And here, without those items, he just simply can't. He doesn't hit that hard, and frankly, he's not really that tanky either. We've seen a few times now where he's tried to get that Primal split off, but that long cast point has been the make it or break it, as Mineski have been on point with trying to secure interrupts there. Wraith King, now 2,100 gold up on him as well, so Jesse Vosh, he'll start moving into core items, whether it's a Maelstrom or a crit, or pardon me, not crit, or something, an armlet. That's the item I was looking for. Not crit, but alas, the armlet. But something to really make these right clicks hurt a bit more. Certainly an option. A halberd, whatever he wants. Jesse Vosh can start to transition into a bit more of a carry mode. Faceless Void, well on his way to a BKB. All these big core items coming out from Mineski, and we see virtually no item progression on Arrow. They have a Maelstrom on the Nature's Prophet, and Tinker still on a level 1 Dagon, but that's not a hell of a lot.
Is under attack.
Difficult position. The fights just keep going, and 5593 finds out DDC, but he's on the other side of the trees. No Curling Blade for you.
Oh, no, he can't find him, but Tinker will get caught by the Ghost. There you go. That's more than enough to find him. In the mid lane, we do see Weaver find a kill on the Shadow Demon. Well, we didn't see it, but we saw the update about it. Void in the trees, hops over, silence onto Brewmaster. He gets completely repelled. At the very least, Mineski will find 2 free kills and a tier 2 tower out of this exchange around the map. I don't think they'll press for the high ground here as Exorcism is about to expire. Glyph will come out for the Dire side. With Tinker in the well for 45 seconds, maybe they'll try it. He does have the gold for a buyback. And Mineski, nope, they won't force it. They will go top. And Zhang Zai, this should be an easy kill for Jesse Bosch. Yeah, it sure is. Watches him as the Ice Blast ticks him down, and that assist gold is enough for the Ancient Apparition to complete his ag.
You usually would expect like an Ancient Apparition to be the one who's playing defensively, having issues, committing to the fights, and you know they have no real frontliner other than the Death Prophet. The Wraith King jumps in now and has Blink Dagger, and you would think that like with this draft that all these things would be set back 5 to 10 minutes beyond what they have. But Mineski has just been executing these fights so strong that they got these items up right quick, and they have been taking huge advantage of them. The initiation has been great. They have had no issues with keeping their heroes alive on the front lines, and that's really impressive considering the fact that they don't have a mechanism.
Yeah, you know, we didn't talk about it in the draft that much, but it was a 5th pick Weaver, and when they picked him up, I think we were both like, a little greedy. We'll see how it works out, but a really smart pick here because they just don't have the lockdown. Aside from Torrent, they can't really lock him down at all, and that's where Weaver really shines, sort of similar to that Storm Spirit. Against the right draft, he just looks broken. He's just running amok, and I'm not surprised that he hasn't conceded a death here because, simply put, what tools do Arrow have to try and shut down the Weaver?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate now, and he's getting bigger and bigger as we go along. Desolator has all the offensive potential he needs. He's going for Lincoln's Heart next, has that Aegis, has that time lapse, has so many ways of bringing himself back up, and along with that, like, so do his allies. Jesse Vash has the Reincarnate, so he has that second life. The Faceless Voids initiations have been on point, and his Mask of Madness is plenty to sustain himself in a good engage. So from here on out, Arrow, they have a hard time killing anybody, even though they're playing as aggressive as can be, and that's the opposite of where you want to be at. Like, Shangzai is hiding out by the side shop in the tree line. Like, he can't even like feel comfortable pushing out a lane from this position.
Yeah. Jacko on the Death Prophet, maybe a little indecision with item progression. Went for the Heart of Tarask after the Yules, had a great timing on that. Now just holding on to a casual point booster and then into the Mystic Staff. I'm not sure which one came out first, the booster or the staff, but maybe a Bloodstone, maybe Shiva's coming out here. I don't know. What do you think here, Blaze? What's he working on?
I'd like to see the Hex come out. I mean, it's just kind of the nail in the coffin type item pickup. We do see Nature Prophet on top lane. Like, he can't leave the trees. Why'd you come out, man?
Even without the Ice Blast, I mean, Jesse Vosh can just straight solo him here. That's the Maelstrom. So Wraith King is, I'm hard pressed to even call him a support at this point. He's starting to lay in the clicks, and he can solo a core Nature's Prophet. They have the exact same items actually, Blink, Maelstrom, and Power Tread. We'll see DDZ get initiated upon here as the Exorcism comes out. Jay will dive the tower, takes a lot of damage. Jacko actually will fall. He overcommits, and the Brewmaster picks him off as the Primal Split and the boat come out. Mineski getting a little overzealous there. Chronosphere is still available, but Void will hold it. And it'll cost him an Ancient Apparition as well. Hangs around a bit too long and gets caught out by the set of pandas. And it will be a double kill for the Brewmaster.
Yeah, better late than never on that Aghanim Scepter. Really able to make use of the extra utility it provides and a little bit of extra burst damage too. The Death Prophet did not respect Arrow. Said, okay, we have this game in the bag. Let's just push and end it. We got the Aegis. But Weaver goes in, but they ignore him, and they focus on the right target here, the DP. As big as she is, you were talking about Shivas, and the one aspect that it would really provide her is this mitigation from physical damage. She has only 7 armor, with a Soul Catcher on top of her, even if it's only rank 1. That makes it pretty easy to bring her down, despite an impressive HP pool to boast. So, in this position, she might just say, okay, well, I'm actually not as strong as I thought. I might go back for the Shivas, or she might still go for the kind of all-in, kill him off, and have no problem with the rest of the gameplay, which is that Hex that can cause so much grief.
Yep. Now DDZ down bottom. He has picked up his Ethereal Blade. That will make his life easier when going blow for blow with the Weaver, but Jesse Vosh is inbound. Blink forward, Wraithfire Blast to interrupt the port home, and that is a dead DDZ Tinker. Weaver picks up another kill. The unstoppable streak continues 6-0 and 11. He's holding the Aegis and will now have a Heart of Tarask coming out before too long. He actually has it sitting on the courier on the way, and also a BKB recipe coming out, as well as an ultimate orb for Jacko. So it will indeed be that Scythe of Ice that you're talking about, just a Void Stone short.
Yeah. It's interesting that the Weaver, it was the one to accrue this much net worth, this much CS, despite being the hero that was kind of thrown onto the off lane while the Void got free farm. But essentially what ended up happening was Void really went a battle build and not a farming build. Like, his farm rate is actually pretty slow when Mask of Madness is not active. So it takes for a while for him to clear out the waves, while Weaver just clears out the map and is extremely quick on his feet. But now they have all the tools they need to kind of push in for the win with DDC down, and they're going to take full advantage of it. The Torrent comes through, but the Hex in turn just freshening up the Death Prophet, and that's a huge kill.
Yeah, Brewmaster with his ultimate still available. He will buy back so he can hop right into this fight. The ultimate from DP doing so much work right here. The racks will get completely cleaned up, trying to repel Mineski, but they just don't have the tools for it. Weaver getting very aggressive, dives onto the Shadow Demon, will time-lapse back after the Demonic Purge comes out. Outside of the base, a fight will break out. Chronosphere flies. The Panda does get into split form, secures a kill onto the Ancient Apparition, but the fight still commencing. Jesse Vosh with an ultimate available. We'll just start commencing the right clicks. That's a dead Nature's Prophet. Boat flies through, will hit Jacko, but there's just no follow-up damage there. They're focusing on the Weaver. They do have a Sentry Ward down for Vision. No time lapse up, but he's still carrying the Aegis. They can't even bring him down the first time. Shadow Demon falls once again. The time walk forward. Brew back in Panda form. What can he do? Jesse Vosh needs to be a little careful. Doesn't have the ultimate with DDZ. Kunkka fall. It's just the Brewmaster and the Nature's Prophet who did buy back for this. One more auto attack. No! The regen is there. Jacko does finish him off with one more Crypt Swarm to boot. 2 buybacks burn that fight on the Nature's Prophet, as well as the Brewmaster. Nature's Prophet, the only one still alive. Arrow on their last leg, and I think Mineski can just seal the deal at this point, Blaze.
Yeah, the base dive is real. They can just go in and pretty much do whatever the heck they want. This is their house, and they're laying claim. They're going for the Desolator damage to the Rex, and yeah, there's no coming back from this.
Yeah, it's just too much. The Weaver is way too big. The Void as well, looking at the net worth chart. DDZ was tangoing with the top, but now down by about 5,000 net worth over the leading farmers on the Radiant, and the graph out of control. 25,000 gold, upwards of 40,000 experience in the Radiant's favor. But as we're coming to the tail end of this game, Blaze, what would you say was the biggest factor for Mineski gaining all this momentum? With a greedy draft, of course, it really pays off if you can get away with it, but where did Arrow go wrong?
I would have to say it was all the feed. Like, they underestimated what Mineski was capable of. They said, okay, look at this draft. They can't do this, they can't do this, they can't do this, but they didn't acknowledge what they can do, and that's absolutely destroy a lane with that Faceless Void down on bottom, and then continuously put the pressure out. The Chrono finishing off Xiang Zai here with a couple of bashes. No, he gets E-bladed by DDZ. Nice save there, but Yeah, it's just, in this position, there was just way too many deaths. Oh, not even getting the Brewmaster ulti as it gets Hex, and the Ice Blast comes through. Oh, that Chief Stick, really just a thorn in the side for the Panda.
Yeah, absolutely. They will dive the well hard here. The Rum comes out, not enough to keep the Nature's Prophet alive. Void will suicide to the Wrath of the Firebush. And it looks like Death Prophet may be suffering a similar feat here. Throws one last Crypt Swarm to try and clean it up. DDZ will find that last kill, and it's just the Weaver as the Mega Creeps commence and will press forward here. So Arrow having a little bit of fun with it. They won't tap out quite yet. Kunkka picking up a Blink Dagger, but DDZ caught Jesse Vosh with the Blink Dagger once more. There's the GG as the throne falling is imminent. But I have to agree with you, my friend. It felt a lot more like a matter of execution than an outdraft or something like that. That one team fight in particular, kind of right in the mid-game when it was that long extended just kill after kill after kill where Arrow kept running in. That was when Weaver was starting to get momentum. If that fight was a break even or Arrow took it, maybe they could have started to regain the reclaim that match, but they just gave the Weaver way too much. He walked out of that fight with a Desolator, so much gold to spare. They got some towers right after it, and before you knew it, he had a Heart of Tarrasque, and at that point, simply put, how do you kill him?
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly the worst game that I've seen Changzai play. The Nature Prophet 3, 10, and 8. He usually plays these more durable heroes that can man up a little bit. He likes the Darkseer, he likes the Tide Hunter, things like that where he can just get into the action. But Furion is the opposite, maybe a different mentality, and that the feud was real. He really did not need to go through half of those deaths, really, and it was just something that he has to go back on the replay. And if he wants to play Furion more in the future, needs to analyze and say, why was I here? What could I have done to avoid this in the past? And it's just fixing mistakes because the errors were far too great, and Mineski will triumph here.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. So we are a little delayed here, guys, as we were slow getting into our second match of the day. We will have one more coming up for you, and the final game today is Johnny's Revenge versus Invasion. It was scheduled to start about 10 minutes ago, so we will delay no longer. I'm Zyori, joined again by Blaze. Thank you so much for joining us for Day 4 of Starladder 10 SEA coverage. We'll be back with one more game.